I recollect something really interesting that Javed Akhtar has said on this. AI has not had a troubled childhood. AI has not had, a breakup, a nasty breakup with a girlfriend or a boyfriend. AI does not have aspirations or dreams, right? I feel if you can be replaced by a technology like AI, I don't think you were in advertising in the first place.
Welcome to another episode of Samosa Talks, where we sit down with founders, marketers, and industry leaders from the world of advertising and marketing. In today's episode, I'm sitting with a founder who refused to build an agency in a box. He chose to build an ecosystem instead. Welcome to Samosa Talks, Hetansh.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction, and it's a pleasure to be here.
So, I think for the context of our viewers here, and even for them to connect the dots from why I mentioned about you building an ecosystem, I want to start and understand where did it all begin for you, and what is it that you mean when you say that this is Vital20 network and it's an ecosystem.
So I came back to India in 2016. I was doing my master's in Boston, and after coming back, I happened to start the agency. At that point in time, I mean, hardly one thinks about what problem you're solving or what value you're adding. I think it was more about me having an interest in writing, and that's how the interest in advertising stems from. And then gradually working with brands, one really understood the finer aspects of advertising. How comprehensive should a marketing strategy be? So I think after about 4 to 5 years of experience working with different kinds of brands, fortunately, including the likes of Vodafone, Kellogg's, SBI, India Bulls, Allen Career Institute, to name a few, we sort of built a WhatsApp product by the name of Chatterpillar, because we were really positive about WhatsApp as a product, really penetrating the Indian market much more even than social media sites like Facebook and Instagram, right, and X. So we said, can we help brands leverage the power of WhatsApp to the best of their abilities? And that's how Chatterpillar came into existence. And then just during that time, we thought recruitment was a big pain point for a lot of agencies and certain brands as well, especially for creative and IT talent. So that's how Advertigers came into existence, where we said, can we help these brands hire the right creative folks? And it's done by people who understand the difference between a content writer versus a copywriter versus a content creator. So that's the three verticals right now. Vital20 happens to be a digital and creative agency. Chatterpillar is a WhatsApp product. It's a SaaS platform. Mm-hmm. And then you've got Advertigers that helps brands with recruiting creative talent.
Okay. So I'll take a step back and understand. You said 2016 you came back from the US and you thought of starting an agency business. Just take me some more time behind, and in your childhood, were you always interested in advertising as a profession, or that interest grew over time, or what was that first seed that made you realize that okay, this is one profession that I would want to be in, and this is one industry I would want to be part of?
I wouldn't say I was really interested in advertising from the childhood. In fact, the kind of educational background I've had is a little baffling for a lot of people, because I did my sciences in 9th and 10th. And at that point in time, I was to join my family business that was in IT. We have ERP solutions for jewelers. And we also have a general product for other domains. So, it's just like in Three Idiots, you had this Farhan Qureshi's dad saying, mera beta engineer banega. So at that point in time, my dad was like, my son will join the family business. Mm-hmm. Then I switched to commerce from grade 11, and I was for a brief period of time wanting to become a chartered accountant. Okay. So then you had a new version of that line. My son will become a chartered accountant. And then I did liberal arts, which was a 4-year course. And, the ultimate aim at that point in time was I was really driven by the love of economics. So I was like, I'll maybe pursue my master's in economics. And so you had a new version of the same thing. And then I didn't even do that. I went to Babson and I did master's in entrepreneurial leadership. And then I was supposed to work on a smart mirror project coming back in India with dad, and that kind of didn't happen. I was through and through always interested in writing. maybe more fictional writing. But when you're interested in writing, you sort of tend to look at different extensions of the same. So advertising definitely was one of them. And I remember when I was in US, I was walking down downtown New York with a friend of mine, and I saw some of the biggest brands advertise out there, and I was like, I mean, I can do better than that. So he told me, yeah, if the smart mirror project isn't working, why don't you try it out with advertising? So that's how it happened. And no, I'd never even thought I would work in advertising when I was growing up. I think there is this word serendipity. So I think a lot of it is happy accidents.
Got it. So you feel that you are an advertising and marketing entrepreneur by accident and not by a firm choice initially.
Yeah.
Got it. And like you mentioned about this Times Square incident, do you happen to remember the brand or the ad that was?
I think even if I remember, I don't think it would be very good to mention them here,
Okay.
because I think now I realize they were not bad ads, right?
Okay.
It's just that now you understand in getting one campaign out,
Right.
how much research, how much of approvals does it take? How
Right.
many iterations does it take? Why is something the way it is, right? There is an entire process to even decide what shade the background is going to be in, what are the fonts going to be like. There is a brand book that you need to follow, right? So
right.
I think now you realize that it was not bad advertising. It was just an age where one was a little immature or a little out of mind when one said that.
But probably it could also be that ad didn't strike you as a consumer.
Right.
And that is the reason why you felt that if you don't want to consume those ads, you would want to be a part of an industry which could make good ads. So I get the sense of building this ecosystem as well, that I think agency business in itself is quite difficult. There are a lot of challenges, from tighter margins to even retaining good talent, or even having clients who share a similar mind space with you. And at the same time, I think because it's a services business, you can't really rely on it entirely, because you have to reinvent the wheel every year.
Correct.
So the idea of building products on top of what you were doing, or even solving certain pain points that your clients might have, is a great thought. Quite a few agencies actually manage to crack that. They might want to do it, but because they're so entangled in the services side of it, they don't really think of product.
Right.
And I think that is where your parents' background in tech also helped you in some sense. So coming to a point of building this agency, I think so you said you started in 2017.
Yeah.
So from 2017 till date, how has your agency grown, the agency side of business grown, and how has your perception about creativity as a business grown?
So I think back in 2017, we just had a couple of clients, which were also not very high-paying ones. So I think the first 3 to 4 years was us trying to establish ourselves, trying to break even while retaining talent as well. So I think those were the first 2 to 3 years. Then COVID happened, and I shifted back to Ahmedabad.
Okay.
And that's where we built a stronger base for ourselves as well. So now at least the agency side of things are, even though the market is undergoing a lot of changes right now, you've got these smaller shops that are opening up. But I think the agency side of business is doing pretty well, touch wood. And like I said, we've had the fortune of working with some of national brands as well, along with some state level brands that are aspiring to become national. So we have a team of about 40 people. We are providing all services right from digital to creative in the spectrum. And my perception of creative side of it, I feel like, that understanding is what I would think has taken the longest time. And I think that you build by making a lot of mistakes initially, that you build by doing all the things wrong. But I feel like at the end of the day, you have to marry two things. You have to marry clarity with creativity, which is the why and the how. So why is basically the strongest USP for someone to consider buying your product, and how creatively can you put that across. So some of the greatest ads that we would have seen, let's say we talk about the Zuzu campaign of Vodafone. every single Zuzu ad had a very clear USP associated with it, whether it's the value added services, whether it's the network, whether it's their pricing. At the same time, Zuzu's as a concept were very unique and creative. So it sort of, got your attention as well. Or some of the work Piyush Pandey has done on Fevicol, Feviquick, those
Right.
family of brands. So I think that's my understanding of the creative side of business, that you really need to marry two things. If it's just creative, then you will miss out on why should I buy your product. And if
Right.
it's just clarity, then it'll be very informational but boring. So I think the right mix is sort of marrying the two.
So you're saying marrying clarity with creativity is where the sweet spot is. And you mentioned about certain ads that you found which have this
Yeah.
balance of clarity and creativity. What is that one piece of communication you're really proud of that has come from the house of Vital20, and you feel that this is something which marries this principle, and like that is one of your hero slides also in any pitch that you make to an agency?
I think one, if I had to pick one, I would say, when we were working with Allen Career Institute, this is after COVID, you had a lot of these education apps pop out in the market. And the ones that were already in the market were really going aggressive, including the likes of Byju's and White Hat Junior and some of them. So Allen had come out with their own digital product.
Right.
And they did not want the product to sort of eat away their existing business, but still they wanted new users for that app, right? So when we were discussing, so they were based out of Kota, when we were discussing with them, we said, what separates an Allen from Byju's and the likes is the fact that here is a brand, here is a business that has 3 decades worth of experience. So we talked with a lot of parents, a lot of students, and we said, what's the perception like?
Right.
And we, from them, we found out that they are looking at Allen, not not a specific faculty member, but Allen as a whole, as a career coach, more than just a place where you get some quick curriculum done. So this campaign was pan India, Times of India jacket ad, where we sort of visually married their offline coaching classes on a mobile screen, and we said, "Ab India's favorite career coach, ab online." So visually, it was something that would capture you.
Right.
Sort of, it'll break the clutter, because a lot of other ads were going on a very similar tangent, at least in that education tech space.
Right.
And with the copy, we wanted to really hit that sweet spot, saying, "Yeah, this is not just any other coaching institute or a coaching app. This is your favorite career coach and India's favorite career coach, which is just coming online."
Right.
So we don't even want people who are going to your offline classes to really switch to this. But people who cannot come to your online offline classes, you want them to come here. So I think that would be one, because then we also married it with a digital campaign, sort of spot the ad and participate and stuff like that. And I think it also had a heavy influencer budget
Correct,
that
right.
we'd put out there. So I think that would be one. If I just have the liberty of adding one more, it was during the first wave of COVID that we did a campaign called Janta Army. That, by the technical definition of viral campaigns, went viral. So we had Abhi and New, who were our marquee influencers. And the concept was simple, that back then Indian economy was going through a crisis, or was about to go through a crisis due to COVID. So we said, people need to form a chain. And you need to shoot one video of any Indian product that you use, upload it, tag 3 friends, and sort of spread information about products which are manufactured in India, so that people know when they have a choice, they will buy this one versus something that's not manufactured in India. And eventually, maybe that helps spread a little more awareness about buying Indian produce. So we had Abhi and New, who said, we had these inspirational lines like, इस लड़ाई में हमें सरहद पे नहीं दुकानों पे जाना है, हमें तलवारें नहीं सुविधाएं उठानी है, so that you can bounce back as a country. And that was backed by about 300-350 micro influencers who put their original content out within, I think it was 18 to 24 hours. of the campaign being live. So then that picked up a lot of pace, and then you had people create their own content and sort of tag the brand and stuff like that. So I think there also we sort of hit that sweet spot. So I think maybe these two would be the ones that come to my mind right now.
Yeah. If I have to ask you, how many rounds of revisions did you all go through to get that approval? Because you're talking about how some of the best ideas at times are don't come out the way they were thought of, just because there is this chain of things that happen in between. So was the initial idea for Alan the same that you had envisioned, or it was
No.
how much percent closer to?
I think I specifically remember we had done some 35 or 36 iterations for the Allen ad.
Okay.
Because it's also a very interesting, they have a very interesting structure and hierarchy. So I think they have external investments, but
Right.
it's still a very family owned business at the end of the day. So you have the hierarchy that you need to really go through and get approvals from all corners and from all offices, because it was one of their biggest campaigns that they had done till date. So that's where I go back to the ads I had seen in the US, because now I understand that 36 iterations down the line, you would have to balance between commerce and art, right? Because it's not pure art, and so you have to respect the inputs that they have, the experience that they have, the point of view that they have, because they are in this business day in day out. And Janta Army was crazy because you had like 300 350 WhatsApp groups created just for this campaign, because you wanted every piece of content to be approved from the client's end. And it was a mess just a couple of hours before the campaign, because some pieces of content would have some changes, some would be approved, some wouldn't have received the barter that was promised on time and stuff like that. So I think anytime before these campaigns go out, I think it's a mess always.
I get that. I mean, I think with micro influencers specifically, I've seen that like everyone talks about the beauty of micro influencers, how you get to go deep and wide, but because these are regular human beings who are not really skilled content creators as well, they're just doing it out of passion. So there are times that they won't understand the brief that you're putting across, and they might not deliver a quality output as you envision it to be. It might be good for their audience, but it might not be good if your brand's logo or your brand's name is associated to it. So I also want to go back to something that you mentioned about small shops, like that the whole agency ecosystem going through a reset of sorts, and then there are these small shops who sort of probably undersell to a lot of clients, and then the whole value of creativity goes down, because say like for the same kind of task, an agency might be charging X, and then there is an agency who says we'll do it by X by 50%, and then the business goes to that X by 50% at times. So what is your thought on pricing creativity, and how do you price creativity at your end, and like how do you, like what is your formula or rationale to price creativity to your clients?
So I feel as an agency, we want to do multiple things, so that we have a stronger hold and we become brand custodians rather than just let's say social media content creators, right? So we would want to work with brands where we do performance marketing, we do content creation, we manage their social media, we do their SEO, maybe we're doing their catalogs. I mean, more the merrier, right? So I think that's definitely one. But I don't think we are an agency that will also really cut down on our prices, because I think at the end of the day, the thought is if we want to build long-term relationships with brands that sustain, then they have to be mutually beneficial for both the parties involved. I don't think as an agency we would always be able to match the prices, like you rightly said, X by half, right? So I don't think that's possible with the kind of resource overheads that you have, infrastructure overheads that you have. It's not always possible. So I think it's not that we are never open to negotiations, but we try and work out a price that we are also comfortable with, and that we don't want to earn completely just with one client. I mean, that's not the idea, but we also have to be comfortable working with them, because the brands where we've really succeeded, mutually is when these relationships have lasted 5 to 6 years,
Right.
and maybe the brands would have opened new showrooms, or maybe had digital extensions to their retail outlets, stuff like that. So that's when an agency also really earns, because you've got that surety of business. You've obviously got it to match the inflation, the retainer that you charge. But when you have that surety, you have that peace of mind, so you're able to work right, you're able to plan better. By then you really know the in and outs of the brand, the people who are working out there. So I think that's the whole idea, that we don't necessarily want to match something that these smaller shops offer, because we do understand we are able to offer much more than that.
There is this constant juggle that happens between an agency or a client, that I might as well hire in the same retainer that you have. I might as well hire a creative person in my team, or I might as well hire a copy, art, social, digital performance person. So I might even build an in-house team in a similar kind of a budget.
What I have experienced is you have a period of turbulence in the first 3 months.
Yeah.
I think once you're done with the first 3 months, I think all of these questions start to evaporate. We've also had clients that have said, you keep your retainer as it is. I want more output here. I'll hire someone, you manage that resource, right?
Okay.
So once you build that relationship, once they understand what you're able to bring to the table, and it's always two aspects. One is the execution aspect, but the second aspect is what is to be executed. Let's say you want 30 reels. One is executing those reels. The second is having the right piece of content for each of those reels, right? So I think the initial 3 months happen to be a period where, there is a little bit of skepticism, if I may say so. There is a little bit of, because they've interacted with your business development team. And now suddenly you've got an operations team that's looking into
managing them,
the brand, right? So once that period goes by, then okay, you're here for the long run. So if we've lost brands, we've lost them in the first 3 to 4 months. Once we've surpassed that, then we've more or less been able to manage a 3, 4, 5 year relationship with the brand, because by then they also understand, okay, if they're charging something, this is why they're doing so. And if something needs to be renegotiated, that also happens in the initial first 3 months, for us to find an equilibrium where we know, okay, we can build onto this.
Got it. So I think creativity is one part of this puzzle. The other is strategy, which is quite underrated. I think there's a lot of work that happens which is not really cool to look at, but it happens behind the scenes. And it is because you have some great strategists working on the brand. You have some people, some great account management people who've done their fair bit of research on the brand and what really works for them. And I think strategy as a discipline is not as evolved, at least in the current crop of agencies which are there. Mainline agencies used to have like hardcore account management departments who used to do that. So in today's day and age, how do you define strategy? Is strategy still loosely used in conversations with the client, or the current set of clients don't really value strategy as much as they do value creativity?
I think it has changed a little. I think back from when we started to now, I think the clients are probably more, I would say, focused on immediate results than establishing this strategy, maybe going by the books. But one little thing that we do keep in mind is, so, you look at marketing, and it's a real broad term. Advertising is a part of it. But in those onboarding calls and discussions, what we try and communicate to the client is mainly two things. One is, see, marketing will not start with us coming on board. Marketing starts from the day you produce that first unit of your product, right? That product is in itself your marketing. That's the first step of marketing, right? So the first thing that we try and ask these brands is your product the best on earth? And normally this question really baffles them, because no one's really thought through something like this. And no one especially expects an agency to ask you a question like this. An agency is expected to take their retainer and deliver their services. But the first step that we really want to start from is a business asking themselves this question, because I don't think all products can be best on earth, but getting into that mind frame is really important. If I run an online fashion store and if you're coming to buy from me, do I have the best t-shirt that you can buy? If not, what is it that I can do? And you've got 3 to 4 ways. One is you invent something like an AI tool. Second is you have first mover advantage. Third is maybe, and most common, you focus on a niche. Fourth is you offer something at a ridiculous price, something like what Geo did in 2016. So we want multiple sessions around their offering and we want to understand it to the T in real detail. Then what we do is we say, whatever we are here to do is going to be either towards branding or acquisition or retention or referral. So that's the bar, what we try and work with a client on. And then we try and sort of split their budgets in either of these phases of the journey. So if it's a young brand, we want more branding. So we want awareness campaigns to be done. We want people to know about it. Once you've got that basic level of awareness, we want to move towards acquisition, which is something that any business is always going to be the most interested in. Once you crack that level, once you have your initial customers, then we want to spend some money and time towards retaining them. So what do we do? What kind of activities can we do to retain a customer? If the nature of the business allows for retention, if I'm running an educational institute, then that's not the right question to ask. And the fourth is, if you've bought from me once, I want you to recommend it to your friend or to the right TG in your circle. I feel like when you approach it this way, then move to advertising and then move to different subparts, then it becomes like a more comprehensive and a more structured effort, rather than from day one a client telling you that, what, this is the return on ad spend that I expect, these are the followers I want at the end of the quarter, these are the engagement rates that we are expecting. So I feel this is an ideal approach that people can follow, but unfortunately very few brands do follow it.
Right. And I think some of the best client agency relationships are built on this mutual rapport or trust itself. I don't see agencies, like a good bunch of agencies, they might not even understand the business of the client, but they're really good with one part of this puzzle, which could be either content or could be media for that matter. But a client really values an agency which is as involved in the business as the client is.
Absolutely.
And we like it all boils down to कि धंधा कितना आ रहा है इससे, क्या मेरा future is secured while working with this particular agency, और क्या मैं like can I trust this agency to be the best representation for me. So like what's the longest relation you've had with a client, and how did you build that rapport? Or like probably building the rapport would be a long stretch, but like what is that one key thing that has helped you build a very good relationship with your clients, apart from understanding of business that is there?
I think the longest that we worked for a brand is 6 years. And we've got one client that's completed 5 years, so I'm hoping it beats the 6-year record. I think in all the cases where we worked for 3, 4, 5 years or more, I think it always initially, there might be a little skepticism. So one of the brands that we now have a very, very good relationship with, and they've also referred new clients to us. They were coming to us with a bad experience and they said, if you can't meet your deadlines, forget the retainer, I'm going to charge you a penalty. So from that point towards to now referring new brands is a long way. I feel like there are 2 to 3 things. Obviously, you need to understand the business and your creative output has to be meeting expectations, which is a given. I think apart from that, when you have a +1 approach, I think that really helps. So let's say, we've never looked at the agreements once our work has started, right? So we are least bothered about what it is that we've committed. What we really want to get into is what is it that you want today? And more than you wanting that today, what is the +1 that we can deliver? So, and those +1s could be in a lot of different forms. So for a jewelry brand that we managed to work for about 5 years, we said, can we build a new live commerce vertical for you? Because we were really positive and optimistic about live commerce. So we happened to start a channel which was at zero additional investment, that could do like 10 crore a year eventually, 18 months from the day we really started that. So now that plus one attitude, I think, is what made them stick with us. Or we sort of say, you know what, building this app is not really in our proposal, but it was for a medical a chain of hospitals. So we said, but this idea could really be the next step for you, right, to have your thing go digital. So I feel wherever our focus has been on plus ones, that's where clients have also respected the fact that they are not just here to do their job and get paid and sort of go through with it. Also, I feel both, and this is two ways, just adapting to the circumstances. So we've had relationships untouched even during phases like COVID, which were really difficult financially for both the parties, right? But to understand that there is a cycle, to understand that there is an emergency, to understand that maybe this is a time that you need to just stick by the client, because they are not bad people at the end of the day, right? You're in touch with the owner himself. So I think those things also help. So I would say plus one approach, and just, I think, like you mentioned, treating their business as yours and just being an extension of their team rather than an external agency that is working remotely on certain deliverables that have been committed by a business development team some couple of years back.
I also feel that over time, the client has also like, the reason why a client won't build an in-house team is because one, advertising might not be their core competence, so
Sure.
they're coming to you for your expertise, and at the same time, the amount of trust that you bring in with this plus one attitude or owning up the business as it's yours is what, like, uh, that is something that adds up to the longevity of your relationship. The moment there is that like lack of trust in the process, or there is that one instance that happens which really tells them to start thinking inward, is when things start going south. Or else, I think the client would not look outward for any other or a new player, only if, like, they would look out only if there is something that has happened wrong or their expectations are not being met.
Correct.
Probably there are some clients who would want to do that, who would be fishing for better prices all the time, but I think an ideal client won't do that. So I think we've spoken enough about the services side of your business. I want to understand more on the tech or the product side of your business, where, like, how has this business helped you power what your agency does, or it's the other way around where your agency clients had this pain point and now, like, they've added on this as a product layer to it.
So we started Chatterpillar with the sole intent of trying to serve our existing clients better. Because we thought WhatsApp is the next frontier in digital marketing, and it's something that's going to be of real value to these clients. But then the way Meta has been proactive with WhatsApp,
Right.
before us realizing, it really took off on its own. And we thought, it's going to be a 3-month, 6-month exercise for us to build a tool, and then it's going to be on autopilot anyway, right? Because we're going to be able to use their APIs and build whatever it is that we want to, and these clients will start using it. And we didn't even want a separate team for it. We thought our existing servicing teams and digital teams will be able to take care of it. I think it's been 3 years and we are still developing the product, and now we understand that it's not ever going to stop that journey of developing the product. And now we've got our own different set of clients that use Chatterpillar, that use WhatsApp, and it's kind of outgrown the agency as well. We've gotten new clients for agency from existing clients of Chatterpillar. So that's been sort of a reverse thing that's happened. And obviously all our brands also use Chatterpillar, because the fact for them is, here's just not a tool, but you also get a team to execute it on your behalf, right? So now suddenly you just sit back and look at the results that WhatsApp is going to bring for you.
Right.
So I think what started as something that we wanted to do for our own brands now has a different team, a different tech team, a different BD team, a different support team, a different infra of its own. and has its own set of clients and is like functioning like a different business vertical in itself.
And like over the years, we've also seen the technology landscape like evolving from AI being the elephant in the room. So how are you as an agency adapting to AI, or like are you offering AI led solutions to your client as an add-on, or you're doing an entire overhaul with them, giving them a perspective that these are some more possibilities that your business could explore with AI, not just on the creative side of it, but otherwise as well?
Right. So I think now what we're trying to do is, I mean, there is no denying the fact that AI is going to really make agencies reimagine the business. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to integrate as much AI as possible for our clients. So right from for some brands, what we've done is for the owner or for the leadership group, we've created these digital clones who do content creation on their behalf, right? So what we've done is we've shot them once, and then I think 11 Labs is the tool that the team uses. Along with their normal editing tools. And what happens is you feed in the scripts written by our own team, obviously approved by them, and you suddenly have an autopilot content creation module that you have. So it's really added value because suddenly now you get 30 reels with the founder, with him or her giving zero additional time, right? So that's one way that we're looking at doing it. We're making a lot of smaller ad films also with AI, and I think they look very seamless even right now. You just don't make the character talk because that's where AI, at least as of now, seems to be fumbling a little. But when you have these wide shots and you have a VO, it sort of goes all right. I also feel that in the next 3 to 4 years, most small businesses will have their own ad films, which will be made by AI. Because it really is very cheap to be doing that. So right from making these ad films to making digital clones, I mean, needless to say that we're using all of the chat GPTs and the likes to be creating a lot of content for us. But yeah, I think the approach is that, before the client comes to us and says, we would want to use more of AI and less of you, we want to go to them and say, you know what, let's use more of AI.
So you don't see AI as a threat, but you see it as an ally of sorts.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to reimagine ourselves, obviously. But I feel like every few years you have new tech come and disrupt existing equilibriums, and then you've got new equilibriums that you can create. So I do understand that some time from now, Meta will not want a graphic designer to make a performance marketing ad creative. It'll just tell you this will work the best. And why do you want a Google marketeer or an SEM professional? You might just want Meta. You just click a button, Meta is going to generate the ad, Meta is going to serve it to the right audience. So I think all of that will take away existing jobs, but will create new ones. So I think you'll have to reimagine the way you function.
Yeah. So brings me to an interesting question. I think last 2 years we've been talking about prompt engineering as a role evolving. Do you see any new roles apart from prompt engineering? Like I know some agencies also have something called creative technologist as a role. These are creative people who are empowered with good technology tools. But do you see any existing roles being reimagined, like the current ones, whether it's into copy or it's into design? Again, I think design is obviously a low hanging thing. But any other roles within an agency ecosystem that you think would change drastically from now?
I do think you have a creative director, you could have an equivalent of AI, like an AI director. I don't know what nomenclature you will really have for it, but because these tools are really going to drive a lot of what you do. And whether we like it or not is reserved for a different day, but that is going to happen. So I feel like someone who I feel like, let's say a writer, he or she is now going to use his or her judgment. So if I have to, let's say, write a campaign for a real estate brand, and let's say I'm going to do outdoor, I'm going to do print, and I'm going to do a digital extension of that, I'm obviously going to use my brain. I'm going to go to a coffee machine and sort of sit and think and brainstorm. I'm also going to put in my commands, right? And then I'm going to judge. saying what is it that I like from what it has generated, because
Right.
I know the client, I know the TG, so I know what might be liked and approved. Likewise for design, likewise for videos. But you could have this one person who is sort of overlooking that AI aspect of it, saying, are you using the right prompts?
Mhm.
Are you using the human judgment where you should be using? You know what, here's a new cool tool that's come in the market that can really enhance your performance marketing campaigns. So I do feel that could be something that evolves, but I think in the first phase you will have all of these writers and designers starting to leverage AI. And then once it reaches to a stage where you really have everyone using more of AI, you could have a role like that.
Right. So I also feel that a lot of stuff that is very manual in nature, which is very process driven, are likely to get replaced or get enhanced with AI. But I think the part where you said that you sit with your cup of coffee and you brainstorm, that is something which is irreplaceable. And even for a market like India, it's quite extensive because India is India of so many Indias which exist.
Yeah.
There are like about 28 states, so many people using different languages, and those languages again having so many dialects. So our cultural palette is very different, and in that cultural palette again you have these new cohorts of people, not new but like cohorts of people from boomers to millennials to Gen Z to Gen Alpha and now Gen Beta as well. So I feel that the more complex this understanding of human beings becomes, the more difficult it'll become for AI to sort of think rationally or think in a very non-linear way. AI can think in a very linear way. Like if you ask AI to write an intro for this podcast, they'll say, Hitesh, you want it to be more provocative or you want it to be more reflective, ABC,
Yeah.
and that's it. But what Hitesh is feeling right now is not something that AI can gauge,
Correct.
and they can't gauge it at any point in
Correct.
time. So how do you think that like this development of technology can match up with the cultural palette that India has? And do you think at any point in time, no, forget AI also, but like even technology for that matter can replace what creative minds do?
I don't think that can happen. I recollect something really interesting that Javed Akhtar has said on this. The fact that you need human intelligence is because AI has not had a troubled childhood.
Yeah.
AI has not had a breakup, a nasty breakup with a girlfriend or a boyfriend. AI does not have aspirations or dreams, right? All of that is what we have, and that's what's going to make us humans. And the diverse palette that you said, you need to have a human judgment and understanding that
True.
is going to decide what an AI does will work or will not work, right?
Right.
Or that's going to give commands to a technology to generate and brainstorm options with. But I don't think you will ever see, and that's why I feel the word for agencies is reimagine. It's not some. I mean, I don't think advertising business is going to die.
Right.
It'll have to be reimagined, because now you're saying, okay, here's technology and you need to work with it, but you need someone to work with it, right? Clients are not going to be able to do that. So I do feel that the human aspect is not going to go out completely. I mean, I have read articles that say by 2028, 2030, we might have a parallel category of AI feature films that look exactly like the ones that, people shoot right now. By 2050 or so, like how, you have normal food and you've got organic food, maybe in 2050 you will say AI films and more organic films that are actually shot by humans. But even in that case, you will need a team that is using its judgment, that is guiding technology to create something that people of this diverse palette like, or they think will be liked. So I don't see a point where humans will be completely replaced. But yes, in things like writing 750 e-commerce website product descriptions,
Yeah.
I would love AI for something like that.
Yeah, I mean, and it's good for the human also behind the screen, right? I mean, it's quite boring to write same manual mundane stuff. I get it. I mean, and again, from an industry lens, if you had to point, what's that one thing that industry is really overhyping and you feel that it is very overrated and people should stop talking about it entirely?
I think a couple of things. I think one is there is a lot of chatter about AI, and like you said, it's being treated as the elephant in the room. While I feel it's really exciting to be alive in these times of AI because it just enhances your human potential. I feel if you can be replaced by a technology like AI, I don't think you were in advertising in the first place. I feel true creative business is only going to be enhanced by technology, whether it's AI today, whether it's AGI in time to come, whether it's XYZ when you and I are no longer around, right? I mean, technology will come and it'll only enhance our potential. So I feel there is a lot of skepticism. There is a lot of people look down upon it. I feel like now those times are gone because now it's the reality. I don't think we have the luxury of really criticizing it or for us to look down upon it. I think we just need to think of what is it that I can do better, how is it that I can serve my clients better with this technology. And I think we've had clients who've been really open to saying, you know what, I'm not going to be able to do this AI thing on my own. I will need you to help me out with it. So why don't you learn it? I don't want to replace you, but why don't you learn it? And we sort of reimagine our relationship in a way that it's good for me and good for you. So I think there's a lot of chatter, but I think we actually should be excited about it.
What's that one thing the industry should really take note of and should talk about more often, like conversations which are shushed in some corner and not really spoken about as much?
I feel like one thing that I think maybe should be spoken more about is the relationship between a client and an agency and how important that is. Normally, the equation between these two parties is not really considered. But I feel some of the best creative work that we've been able to produce, or some of the best campaigns that we've been able to conceptualize and execute, have come when there was enough trust. And we also sort of had to take the accountability of that. So I remember there was a time when we were doing a performance marketing campaign for an education brand, and the nature is such that if you miss a certain time frame to deliver these leads, then it's really of no use what you do around the year, because if in there that period you're not able to perform, then that year is gone. So I remember the campaign was not really doing well, and we had a meeting, and it was a pretty uh, a nasty meeting because tempers flying and stuff like that. But still, because we built a relationship, we could go to the client and say, you know what, give us 24 hours. We are going to sort of build about 40 to 45 new ads, and we're going to do a different thing on the targeting as well. Uh, and we are going to email all of that to you, and we want you to say yes within 30 minutes. And he was the CMO, so he was obviously, he had to also pass through a hierarchy. But he did that, and we could turn that campaign around, and that was possible only because we had years of relationship that we'd built with him. So he also knew that we were a well-intentioned agency. We really did not want to cut corners. We were not here to make quick money. We really wanted to deliver value to them. Likewise, I think even when we've made mistakes, or when clients also have sort of lost their cool over a period of time, I think we've been able to come back and say, okay, this is where we made a mistake. This is where probably you made a mistake. And we really value what we have, the professional relationship aspect of this commercial agreement that we have, we really value. And we feel it's mutually beneficial for both the parties. So let's put that behind us. I mean, there have been a time when in one of our starting years, we had a wrong newspaper ad placed. And that was a big mistake. That was a big goof up, because obviously it was early days in our professional journey. And what we did was we said to the client, you know what, we're going to take the hit. So we are going to actually make this payment to you because you've lost money. We can't really refund the loss of credibility, but we can definitely repay on the financial aspect. They never asked for that money, but I feel that gesture went a long way, saying, you know what, it could have been very easy for all of us to say, yeah, we part ways and you find someone else. And then we managed to stick with that brand for 5 years. So I feel whenever you focus on these relationships, in between your posts and campaigns and
Yeah.
TV ads and stuff like that, where is that relationship going?
There is this thing about mistakes, that one, that you learn a lot from it. The other is that you get the chances of virality are quite high
Right.
with a mistake. From your perspective as a founder, I get that learning that you've acquired over the years about relationships. Is there any other principle that you've seen that, like when you were in the formative years of this agency, like that you follow that principle to the T, but now it has changed completely, or it's not of any relevance to you anymore, or it has changed your belief about building, running an agency?
Um, I think when we started, we were pretty rigid in how we did things.
Okay.
But I feel, every few years, you have your cost of execution that goes down, and your cost of thought goes up.
Right.
So, for example, when Instagram was a platform where reels as a format were very new, you would watch any reel because the format was exciting and new. Now suddenly 7 8 years down the line, what's happened is everyone is creating reels, so that cost of execution has gone down, maybe because mobile cameras have improved, maybe because ring lights as a product have come out, maybe because the mics are better. Uh, so suddenly what happens is your cost of execution goes down. Now anyone can create a reel. So now you really need to focus on that thought, on what is it that you're going to create that breaks the clutter, right? So I feel whenever you're rigid as a business, and especially in the creative field, I think you will be outdated sooner than you think.
Right.
So I feel one thing that we've really had to do, and I think everyone will have to do, is to be as dynamic as possible to better serve your clients also, because advertising as a domain is really undergoing massive changes. Just not AI, but with these smaller shops opening up, I think somewhere clients have also started becoming a little impatient with the results that they want. Maybe because there are more options, maybe because overall, you just use some tools and you can do the same thing quicker. So what happens is, the more dynamic you are, I think you will be able to adapt to changing needs. I think you will be fluid as a company. So I just feel to understand that there are these things that will change over a period of time, and in 2035, something that we do right now which requires a lot of effort might not require a lot of effort, right?
Right.
So I feel we were very rigid initially, and now we've sort of made peace with the fact that things will not be constant. I think we will have to keep adapting, and that applies to all agencies. So I think that's something we've tried to do to the best of our ability. There was a time when we were just hiring graphic designers, then we started hiring content creators, and now I think we've got just a content creation vertical within Vital20, because that's the need of the day. Tomorrow it might be something else.
Right. And if you had to start building an agency in today's day and age, what would you do differently from the time you had started Vital20?
I think we would build our own distribution parallelly. So I think I would start talking to you on day zero of our existence, not after 8 years,
Okay.
because I feel you do need to have, as a business, your own distribution and credibility. Uh, that does go a long way. See, initially, what happens is, as a founder, if you're just one person,
Yeah.
you're developing business. I think that's the first stage. So you're maybe using your personal contacts or whatever it is, but you're trying to get in more business. That helps you grow along the curve. But building your own distribution will help you grow across curves as well. So I think one thing we would have done differently is we would have looked more seriously at our own marketing, our own platforms, our own the things we put out in the media, PR and stuff. And we would have done that parallelly along with building our own brands and our own clients.
Right. And I think if you would have done that 8 years, like if you had done that parallelly, a lot of your work would have gotten spoken about
Absolutely.
more, and probably you would have more set of clients, and the scale would have been much more than what you have
Hopefully at the 16th year.
today. Right. And so that is one thing. And you mentioned about the current business being on an autopilot of sorts, which is a very good thing for a founder to have. Founders face this concern all the time that they don't get as much time to reflect or introspect. So, what is that one question, one uncomfortable question you think agency leaders should be asking themselves in 2025, which you might have gotten time to think about because obviously it's on autopilot for you?
Uh, so I think, see, first of all, I think all founders should get this time to just think, just not about the business, but everything as a whole. Because, when you get that perspective and then your business is one thing in that perspective, I think you're able to think better. Uh, I think one uncomfortable question will be, and I think that's as basic a question as it can get, is what is it that you're doing? In the larger scheme of things, right?
Right.
I think it's been 2025 years to this earth, at least from the day we've started registering the date, right?
Yeah.
And likewise, we'll be in 3025, we'll be in 4025, we'll be in 5025, right? So, in the longer scheme of things, we're just uh, a small group of travelers out here, right? So, what is it that you're really doing? I mean, in your hassles, in your attempt to meet the cash flows, is there a bigger purpose that you are serving? And it could be it. I mean, it'll be different for different people. I think for some people they might have started an agency because they wanted to earn more money. But along with doing that, is there a bigger creative drive that you have which is being fulfilled? Or for some people it would be the fact that they really love people, right? And advertising is a people business. So are there relationships that you've been able to build with your team or with your clients? So I feel just one uncomfortable question everyone should ask themselves is, what is it that you're doing in the bigger scheme of things?
So we'll quickly wrap up this chat with a rapid fire. There are some questions that I have, and some probably I'll get it on the fly. Um, are you ready for this, Hetansh?
Absolutely.
This is not coffee with Karan. This is like samosas with Hitesh. So to start with, one campaign you wish you had done, like something you really envy.
I mean, if I could really let my imagination fly, then maybe Vodafone Zuzu campaign or Fevikwik, Fevicol, some of these brands. Yeah.
So there is still scope for you to do at any, like
There
maybe
is.
like a reimagination of a Fevicol ad or a reimagination of a V ad.
Absolutely.
One non-obvious skill every founder should master.
I think the art of manifestation, because I feel when you really, I mean, everyone would want certain things in life, right? But when you just really visualize and manifest them, I think you will start thinking in the right direction. You will just zoom out from all of those problems. I don't think a lot of people understand the power of that.
One green flag in a client.
Patience,
One red flag in a client.
impatience.
Okay. Fun industry myth you'll like to kill.
That AI will kill advertising agencies. I don't think so.
Okay. One bold prediction you still stand by. Like you used to stand by when it was 2016, 17 and you still stand by it.
Uh, I don't know if it's a bold prediction, but during COVID, you had these, I think government or like, I don't know who had, but they had published a list of essentials and non-essentials. And advertising was a non-essential. I feel advertising is an essential.
Got it. And lastly, one industry leader you really cherish, follow, like it's like God to you.
Piyush Pandey.
Got it. All right. Like I think that's a answer to a lot of people. Thank you, Hitesh. Thanks a lot for spending this time with us. I think we had a great time learning about your perspective on building an agency, and not just building an agency, but an ecosystem of companies which complement each other. And I wish you all the very best for the next phase of Vital20.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. And thank you so much for having me here.